Hello and welcome to another video. It's Patrick here to talk about Chapter Approved 2019 and my predictions for Chapter Approved 2019. So basically this is just going to be talking, I'm obviously predicting there's going to be some new missions. I'm really hoping that there's going to be, it will change the deployment for all missions to Chapter 2018 or a variation of Chapter 2018 deployment so that it's, because I think that's quite balanced, but any sort of, if they want to try and balance that more, great. I really like that deployment change. Yeah, and just some more awesome missions because Chapter 2018, they really done well with the missions. I really enjoyed them. And I like the changes they made to Maelstrom where you could take cards out. Just really made Maelstrom that little bit more balanced and like, you know, I always say, I just like a nice balanced game. Okay, so we're going to go into talk about points and, you know, increases and decreases, because that's pretty much, I think, what Chapter Approved is going to be about. I can't see any, I can't imagine many datasheet changes. It's not something they really do in Chapter Approved very much. It's mainly just points adjustments, but, you know, I'm not completely ruling it out, maybe. So, if we start off with Chaos, obviously Chaos Space Marines need a drop. If they don't drop them in line with the Tactical Marines, so they'd be dropped a point, I'd be shocked. But who knows, because it is GW and they seem to favour the Imperial a little bit more than they do Chaos. But yeah, no, I'd be really surprised if they don't get a points drop. And then you've got stuff. Basically, what I want with Chapter Approved is what I want GW to do is look at stuff in the codexes that aren't being played, that aren't being used, and just bring them in line. Maybe if they need a drop, just to bring them in line. I think Obliterators obviously went up massively when they got the new model and new rules. I would like to see them just have a small drop, you know, just take them down to like, I don't know, 95 points or something, 90 points. Just think they're just a little bit too expensive for what they're doing, especially now you've got all the new rules with the Space Marines, you know, all the doctrines and everything else. I just feel like everything else needs to, from the other codexes, just needs to come down just a little bit. So I'd really like to see that. And I'd like to see all of the vehicles come down, because if they're not getting the Legion traits like Space Marine vehicles are, they all need to come down in points, because they're just nowhere near as good. They're nowhere, and obviously they're not getting doctrines, stuff like that. So I think all Chaos vehicles need to come down. I think the Demon engines are really cool. Like, I like the buff with Shadow Spear. What they've done with Demon engines is quite a few ways to buff them now, which is really nice. So I like that. But I think like things like the I forgot the name of it. Defiler. That's the name of it. I think that could come down, you know, because they're not overly effective. Chaos shooting is, you know, the Forge Fiends. I know they came down in points, but I feel like it could come down again. They're just so unreliable, you know, unless you're taking buffing units to buff them. So yeah, I think there's things like that which could come down. I'm just sort of looking around at my models to see what other Chaos Space Marine units I feel like could come down. I feel Cultists should come back down, because they're not getting any Legion traits, they're not getting any buffs. There's so many things they're not getting. I'll just bring them back down to 4 points. I can't see why they ever really went up. But yeah, bring them back down. And yeah, I think that's Chaos Space Marines. I just think, you know, the Chaos Space Marine Codex in general, just a little drop, sort of, not maybe across the board because there is some really good units, but just a little drop. And then the Demons Codex, I can see Plague Bearers getting an increase by a point, because they are so effective at what they do. I mean, I know people will say they're nowhere near as effective now because of Space Marines, which I agree, but they're still, you know, at 7 points. If you look at other units which are 7 points, they just don't compare. They don't compare. Like, you can have -2 Plague Bearers, you know, and all the buffs and stuff that can get given to them. It's uncomparable. Like, if you look at Demonettes at 6 points, there's no way that a Plague Bearer is only 1 point more than a Demonette. Like, just not right at all. So I can see them going up to 8 points per model. And I'd like to see Greater Demons come down again, just because they're just so squishy and they die so easy. If there was more ways to get them, if there was more reliable ways to get them in combat, you know, from deep strike or something, then I'd say, okay, you know, they don't need to be that durable, because you can drop them in and then it's going to cost you 2 CP to drop them in, but you can drop them in and then, you know, have a fairly reliable charge. But at the moment, that doesn't seem like it's going to be a thing. So unless in Psychic Awakening they get something and get a load of new rules to buff them, then I feel like they need to come down. Just because, you know, at the end of the day, Warhammer 40k is a shooting game and demons don't have guns, so they've got to be a bit cheaper. Obviously, I've just said the Plague Bearer should go up, but that's because they're just so much more effectual than any other unit of a similar type for their points. So, moving on, we'll go through to Necrons. Now, Necron warriors are still... They came down a point, and they're just still not quite good enough. And again, whether they're going to get some new things in Psychic Awakening or Codex or something to make them better, but as they stand, I feel like they need another drop, maybe a point. Well, let's compare them to Plague Bearers. At the moment, a Necron warrior obviously has a gun, is 11 points, and Plague Bearers are 7 points, and I'd much prefer to have Necron warriors than I would... I'd much prefer to have Plague Bearers than I would Necron warriors, just because they're so much more durable at what they do. And to be honest, Necron warriors guns aren't that great. I mean, they've got -1 AP. They're -1 AP bolters at 24-inch range, but they honestly played them a lot, and they're just ineffectual. So I'd like to see them get a bit of a drop. I'd like to see monoliths get a massive drop. Monoliths need to come down. They're at 320 at the moment. They need to come down to about 250 to make them worth it, in my opinion. Obviously, in my opinion. Everything's my opinion. You might completely disagree, but I just feel like they're just not worth taking. They're not like, you know, they're T8, they've got no invuln with a 3-up save. Very much like a repulsor, but if you look at the repulsor's output of fire and a monolith's output of fire, well, a monolith's near enough the same points as a repulsor, about 16 points off. It's not even close to being in the same ballpark. So they need a massive drop. Flayed ones need a drop. I'm hoping they get new models with Psychic Awakening, because they are fine custom. I'd love to see new Flayed one models. I'd love to see better rules and a points drop. Not necessarily better rules, but like points drop with those, because they're just too expensive at 17 points a model at the moment. They're just, with a 4-up save, it's not good enough. I'd like to see the Praetorians come down again, just because they don't get any dynasty keywords and stuff, and I think it needs to be taken into account. Okay, so next up I'm going to talk about Drukhari. Drukhari, I think, are fairly well pointed. I think their big guns need to come down, their dark lances. I think they should be come down to the same amount of points as disintegrators. And I feel like the mercenaries need to drop in price as well. I feel like if we had, you know, the Incubi, the Scourge, the Mandrakes, I'd like to see them all come down. I'd like to see Beasts come down just to make them a little bit more playable. Yeah, just bring those things in, sort of down a bit and make them more, it's like, oh, I'm not going to play them more. It's like, oh, I could take them or I could take these, you know, a bit more choice in it. Yeah, so I think that's what I'd like to see for Drukhari. We're going to come back after a small break. Okay, so next up we're going to talk about Orks. I actually think Orks are in a pretty good spot at the moment. Obviously, I don't play Orks, but I feel like, I'm sure there's some stuff in the Ork Codex that could come down. So again, it's just, I'd like to see those things that aren't, I mean, Smasher Guns seem a little bit too good for like 31 points. Maybe like a Smasher Gun, a small increase in the Smasher Guns, because again, I wouldn't want to see them so they're not played. Just maybe they're a bit too efficient for their points at what they do. So that might be quite nice. Tau, like to see sort of more mechanised Tau lists, because Tower doing really well at the moment with certain players and one build really. So I'd like to see more in terms of competitively. I'd like to see more more competitive builds of Tower out there. Basically, I feel like the drone will need to be fixed. The saviour protocols will need to be fixed a little bit for that to happen. But yeah, I'd really like to see that. And I like saviour protocols. And I think it's a great rule. I just think that probably needs to be fixed a little bit. Grey Knights need a drop. Grey Knights need some help in general. I feel like Grey Knights need... I'm hoping in Psychic Awakening their stratagem is going to get redone. They're going to become cheaper. They've had a really nice boost, Grey Knights, with the Bolter Drill, with the Shock Assault. It's really helped Grey Knights massively. I'd like to see just, maybe a little bit of a points drop for them, just to make them a little bit more viable. And yeah, hopefully in Psychic Awakening they get some new rules as well. But as far as chapter approved, yeah. So yeah, Deathwatch. Again, don't really play Deathwatch. I feel like Deathwatch aren't in a too bad a place. They've got some of the new rules. I'm sure they're going to get some new stuff. Obviously, with all the Space Marine chapters, like Grey Knights, Deathwatch, Space Wolves, Blood Claws and stuff need to come down because they didn't come down in line with Tactical Marines. Obviously, the same with Blood Angels. They all need to get some sort of doctrine to put them in line with Space Marines. I can't see... They've got to get something, otherwise they're just going to be so far behind. So yeah, I'd like to see all of them different Space Marine chapters get something. Then we'll move on to AdMech. I can't see much changes with AdMech. I think their firepower is really good. I like the fact they've got a few new tanks and stuff. There might be some things in the codex that really need a points drop. I can't think of, like, the destroyers and stuff seem really good. So yeah, let me know if I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to AdMech, but from what I've seen of them, I think they're in a fairly good place. You know, maybe there is a few units that maybe need to drop or be increased. Let me know what you think. I think, obviously, Sisters of Battle, we don't really know yet. They're coming out. So, you know, there's not going to be anything, I don't think, on the Sisters of Battle. I think that's most of the Imperial. Knights, I'd like to see the Castellan drop, actually. I'd like to see the Castellan drop, maybe 50 points, just halfway between, just to, you know, fit an extra gun on another knight or something, just because I feel like it might have been too much what they done last time. But again, it's only my opinion. But yeah, so I think that's all. Oh yeah, and the Custodes. Custodes, I feel the Custodian Guard really need a drop. Desperately. Like, they're 57 points, and Aggressor's about 33 or 4 or something. Like, there's no way they should be that much more than an Aggressor. They should be somewhere close to how much an Aggressor is. So, even if they took them down to 40 points, I think, you know, I literally think they'd still be, with the amount of firepower in the game now, and the lack of firepower that a Custodian Guard gives out, yeah, they're good in combat, yeah, they're durable, but they need help. With all of the guns and stuff that are out there now, with doctrines, with everything else, it's just, they're just too expensive to run a battalion. You know, and if you're running pure Custodes, you've got to hold over 160 points just to hold an objective, because a minimum 3-man squad. It's just too expensive. So I'd love to see the Custodian Guard come down, maybe the Wardens as well, maybe even the Terminators with a little drop. They really need that. Obviously the bikes are fine. I think the bikes are really good. I'd like to see all Land Raiders come down a little bit. That's definitely something that can happen. Predators, would like to see that. In terms of, I don't know, actually, with all the new stuff for the Space Marines, Land Raiders might not need to. They might be good enough now. I'd have to, hopefully someone will playtest that. I think the Tesseract Vault could come down as well, for Necrons. Just going back to Necrons, just thinking about Tesseract Vault. That went up quite significantly because of the people running free Tesseract Vaults, but I don't think that's an issue anymore. I think they could bring that back down. Like, because they put up a substantial amount. I think they put up 70 points. I think they could bring that even bring it back down to what it was. I don't think that would be a problem. Yeah, so Death Guard, I think it would be nice to see some stuff come down for Death Guard. Like Typhus, I think it's too expensive, 175 points. I think in terms of characters, you look at other characters that are doing as much as he is, they're quite a bit cheaper. So even if he came down 25 points to 150, I think that'd be fair. Yeah, generally like to see Death Guard see a little drop in points. Now, I think before it was quite hard to take out Death Guard, and I feel like as codex have crept up, they're now dying easier than what they were. So it'd be nice to see. I'd like to see the Poxwalkers get a drop as well. I don't think they need to be 6 points. 5 points would be fine for Poxwalkers. You know, they're not. It's not like they're amazing. Also, someone said to me they think they heard a rumour that Mortarion and Magnus are going to get a 100-point drop. That would be insane, because Mortarion is ridiculously strong. He should be. Mortarion could take out a whole army on his own. He's no way he should get a drop. Magnus I could maybe see, because Magnus is a little bit less durable. So maybe Magnus might see a little drop. But moving on to Thousand Suns, the Rubric Marines and the Scarab Cult Terminators got really good with Bolter Drill, Scarab, and with their -2 bolters. I can't see them getting much of a drop because they are really good, but maybe a point. Also, same with Plague Marines and the Blight Lord Terminators. Maybe they'll get a drop. I'm not sure they should, but the Plague Marines maybe, but the Blight Lord Terminators I think are really strong. Although they are very slow, so, who knows. Yeah, so I think I've gone through most of the Chaos. I've gone through most of the Imperium. Tyranids, I think Tyranids could do with some love. I think Tyranids need some stuff. They could do with a few points drops, I think, here and there, because they're struggling. And so I don't think that would hurt, especially with the big monsters, maybe the shooty monsters that, they're T8 usually got a 3-up save. I think anything that was T8 that doesn't have an invuln should have a 2-up save. I just think that should be standard, because otherwise, I don't know, I just feel like it makes them a bit too weak. Because at least then they get like a 5-up against las cannons, a 6-up against melters, and even then with doctrines they wouldn't even get that against melters. So yeah, maybe I think 2-up saves would be nice, but a points drop will do for now until they redo codexes and stuff like that. Gene Stealer Cult I think are in a fairly good place. Points wise, there might be some things that of in the codex are a bit overpointed, so maybe a couple of drop here and there, points drops here and there, but generally I think they're quite good. But yeah, that's basically what I'm hoping to see from Chapter Approved. I'm just hoping to see a really nice balance or rebalance, and just bring everything sort of in line. Well, really with Chapter Approved and Psychic Awakening, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a rebalance with both, so it would be really, really nice. And obviously it's going to keep the meta's obviously always going to change. New codexes come out, new stuff comes out. It's like as with Space Marines, and it's going to take a while for the dust to settle and things to happen. So, but yeah, I think obviously Chaos Knights, I think again they're not that old as a codex. I think they're pretty well pointed. You can do some fantastic things with Chaos Knights. And Aeldari, maybe you'll see Shining Spears come down a bit and some other stuff. But actually Crimson Hunter Exarch should go up by about 30 points because they're far too good for what they do. But yes, that is my 2 pennies worth on what I think is going to happen with Chapter Approved 2019. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm wrong about anything? Do you think there's anything I've missed that definitely needs a decrease or definitely needs an increase in points? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.